we'd like to invite Mario Kunze to tell us a little bit about the situation with the healthcare system in Germany. We had also hoped to have Yoshi Türit with us as well, and unfortunately she has taken ill. So we will not be hearing so much about Bundes Sarah Wagenknecht, but we will certainly hear a lot about the situation in Germany when it comes to the health system and its preparations for war. So I want to just set you up with your...
Dear comrades, I apologize at once. My school English has become rusty over the years. My name is Mario Kunze. I work as an electrician in Germany's largest communal hospital group. Almost 80 years after the end of the Second World War, Europe is in flame again. Once again, the peoples of this continent have been set against each other. As in all imperious wars, they are being led to the slaughter with hypocritical arguments in favor of the power and profit interests of capital. Each side in this conflict has its own truth. But we know that the first victim of war is always the truth. That is why it is much more important to observe and analyze the actions of our governments than just to follow their words. After the pandemic, the pre-existing global economic crisis of capitalism became clear to all to see. In Germany, the economy continued to stagnate. The social conflicts that had always existed became extremely acute. As early as 2009, the so-called debt brake was written into our constitution. The debt brake is officially intended to limit German national debt. Together with other political decisions, the attack by capital on other social achievements of our people began back then. The consequence of these attacks can be felt by every German. While the low-wage sector was massively expanded, many social benefits and investments in public life fell victim to austerity measures. Even before the pandemic and the war in Ukraine, there was a state-organized flight from collective agreements. The health and education systems and local public transports were in decline. After the pandemic and with the invasion of Ukraine by Russian troops, those politically responsible were finally given the mendacious justification to use against our population. Today, they are purposely using the war in Ukraine as an excuse for all social and economic grievances in Germany and their attacks on the welfare state. They have finally found the supposed way out of the economic crisis by boosting the war industry. As in the years of the global economic crisis before the two world wars, attempts are now being made to convert the German economy to a war economy and to prepare our people for their sacrificial death. In the past, oaths were sworn to God, imperial, leader and fatherland. Today, the oaths are supposed to be in favor of democracy and freedom. In terms of content, but terms are just questionable today, at least for me as a aforementioned historical ones. In the meantime, freedom of assembly and freedom of opinion in German are being curtailed. For me, it no longer has anything to do with freedom or democracy. At least not one that needs to be defended by force arms. Immediately after Russian troops invaded Ukraine, the German foreign minister publicly and verbally declared war on the Russians. She literally said, "We have to ruin the Russians." A 100 billion euro package for the army was passed overnight. The German war budget is now devouring 10 of billions from our tax budget every year. On the other hand, the education, health and culture departments have to accept drastic cuts. This is a declaration of war against our own population. Our education minister wants young officers to recruit for the army at our school in future. This has also happened before in Germany history, with devastating consequence for the whole of Europe. The German Minister of Health is preparing a statutory hospitalization. At the same time, he is talking about Europe's hub for the care of 100 soldiers in future wars. The Minister of Defense adds that 1,100 are expected per day. At this point, it is to be feared that the care of our civilian population will have to take a back seat to military medical care in the future. Fewer hospitals and more injured soldiers leave no other conclusion. Our finance minister justifies and intensifies the cuts to the welfare state with the following words: Ukraine and the crisis, yes, but Germany cannot longer afford to finance every cycle fart in Peru. This is what he really is saying. More and more of our taxes are being used to the war machine and for state investments in the capital market, and further savings are being made to the welfare state. By the way, with the cycle fat in Peru, he is speaking the same language as all German bourgeois and right-wing populists. In their opinion, the hard-earned money of German taxpayers is largely being wasted in foreign aid. They do not even realize that German capital has so far only both in self-pole position in foreign markets and thus their dependence. Historically, this has all happened before in Germany. More and more Germans are recognizing this and fighting back. The strikes and waves of protest in recent years clearly show the resentment and resistance of the people against the warmongering and social war against their own people by the Scholz government. Officially, almost all these protests are labeled right-wing populist by government and its supporters. Similar to the yellow waistcoat movement in France at the beginning. But the real right-wingers are the supposed Democrats in our governments. Their militaristic, imperialistic and antisocial behavior is a cause of the resurgence of clearly fascist parties, and not just in Germany. But rest assured, they are no more or fewer fascists in Germany than in other European countries. What can we do? What must we do? The only real weapon we have is internationalism. With all the necessary clarity that each people can only be responsible of its own happiness, there's only one answer in the to the barbarism of capital. Only the joint pressure of all our peoples and their mutual desire for understanding will, and the existing wars and prevent new ones. Our peoples must also understand that the war is already being waged against them by their own government. It is a social war, and it is to be feared that in future our youth will be sacrificed on the battlefields of Europe. If we do not succeed in preventing this, we too will share responsibility for every casualty of war in Europe. Thank you for allowing me and to be here and to speak. I'm sorry for my English.